I would like to talk about debunking the myths about method acting. Do you think you know what method acting is? Think again. Most of what you heard is probably a mishmash of overly dramatic headlines, clickbait, and Hollywood rumors. So in this video, I would like to dive into the world of method acting, explain its origins, discuss its principles, and most importantly, debunk the horrible myths and misconceptions that are out there. Method acting, you might think about actors that lose themselves in their characters 24/7, or they take themselves to extreme physical lengths to achieve some kind of authenticity. Method acting has become synonymous with acting brilliance as well as questionable and crazy on-set behavior. So let me start with, what is method acting really? So to separate fact from fiction, we need to begin at the source. Truthfully, method acting is a collection of techniques designed to help produce a realistic, authentic performance by drawing on personal emotions, memories, and experiences. The term is mostly associated with Lee Strasberg, whose interpretation of the method was inspired by the teachings of Konstantin Stanislavski. Konstantin Stanislavski was a Russian practitioner who emphasized emotional truth and psychological realism in the art form of acting. There were also other influential figures such as Stella Adler, Sanford Meisner, and Uta Hagen. These important figures also developed their system based on Stanislavski's ideas. Each of these important, prominent acting teachers emphasized different elements of Stanislavski's ideas, including the imagination, behavior, and emphasizing the actor's ability to empathize with the character and the circumstances above and beyond emotional recall. So method acting, quote unquote, is an eclectic collection of different techniques, not just one approach. It is a philosophy that's based on different branches, and some of these branches contradict one another. It's up to the individual artist to find out what works for you and incorporate that into your technique. So my mentor Susan Batson worked with not only Lee Strasberg, she also worked with Uta Hagen, who had different ideas than Strasberg did. She also worked with Harold Klerman, who was more in the Stella Adler side of things, as well as very highly knowledgeable in script analysis. She always emphasized that she was eclectic. She did not consider herself a method acting teacher. Neither do I. There are many different ways to approach the work, and as actors we have to allow ourselves to explore everything that's out there and discover what works for us. Every actor, just like every human being, is unique and different, and we respond to things that work for us based on what makes us feel connected, what makes us feel free, what makes us feel artful, and what gives us the joy of acting. So let's debunk the myths. Myth number 1. Method actors must stay in character all the time. This is a myth. So the myth is presented in the following fashion. Once the cameras start rolling, method actors refuse to break character, ever, often being in the character on set as well as off the set for the duration of the film. So here's the truth. While some actors do choose to immerse themselves in their characters for long periods, that's a personal choice. It is not a requirement of the technique of acting. Strasberg himself never advocated for the actor to be in character 24/7. In fact, Staying in character 24/7 is a gimmick and does not necessarily help the actor feel more connected. So famous actors like Daniel Day-Lewis have established a reputation of staying committed to being in their characters, but this is not representative of the method as a whole. The true background of techniques encourages actors to build a rich inner life for their character by doing exercises and exploration homework, not literally living as the character. Myth number 2, method acting requires emotional trauma. So this is a myth. Method actors don't have to tap into traumatic experiences in order to cry or feel pain. Here's the truth. Strasberg developed what is referred to as an effective memory exercise, where the actor draws from personal experiences. This did become a cornerstone of the method. However, when you really look into the technique and really look into the pure steps of how an effective memory is utilized, there are so many nuances to it that serve the art of acting, not just recreating trauma or recreating some kind of unhealthy emotional result. It's all about how the actor connects to their senses. And through their 5 senses, they can evoke a deep connection to something that they experienced that was highly emotional. But it's done through an artful path. And Strasberg's approach is just one branch. Stella Adler, for example, completely rejected effective memory and really emphasized the imagination as a way to build truth in a performance. For her, actors didn't need to suffer in order to portray suffering. She believed in the actor developing empathy and insight. I believe that it's up to the actor to choose what inspires them and what works for them. But the bottom line is to never sacrifice your well-being. And emotional authenticity in acting does not require you to harm yourself in any way whatsoever, emotionally or physically. This leads me to myth number 3, that method acting is psychologically harmful and dangerous. So the myth goes like this: method acting causes actors to lose touch with their reality, leading to burnout, mental health issues, or erratic behavior. This is the worst myth of them all, and it's really unfortunate that there are some actors that play into this myth and become those things thinking that they're going to become a better actor. This is the worst. So here's the truth. Like any intense discipline, acting requires boundaries as well as self-awareness. It is true that some performers have struggled with psychological problems, and it may have been connected to their journey in life while they were working on a particular character. If you take a look at the documentary Hearts of Darkness, which is about Francis Ford Coppola's film Apocalypse Now, the making of, you'll see a lot of that going on, especially with the lead actor Martin Sheen, who was in a very tumultuous period of time in his life. This type of stuff is what gives method a bad name. When the actor uses the techniques offered responsibly, it includes exercises that allow the actor to enter and exit emotional states safely and responsibly. In my book, it's always better to use things from, if you're using things from your own life, to use things that you've already processed, not things that you're currently struggling with or going through. And it is important to practice self-care, especially in your emotional landscape. And actually, acting coach Larry Moss often encouraged his actors to go to therapy to learn about their emotional landscape, to practice self-care with the things that they have inside in their life experience that might have some volatility, and to know themselves as fully as they can before giving things over to creating a character and making art. Myth number 4. Method acting is the only legitimate way to do the thing. So the myth is, if you don't do the thing, then you're not a legitimate actor, or you're not a serious actor. As I said before, no single acting method fits everyone. That's why it's an art form. Some actors thrive with Meisner's technique of listening, repetition, and spontaneity, being in the moment. Other actors find power in classical training and physical theater. Even within the sphere and the branches of method acting, there are wildly different schools of thought. What works for Robert De Niro isn't necessarily going to work for Robert Duvall, and that's okay. They are both amazing Oscar-winning actors. True artistry lies in finding the tools that suits you, that suits your temperament, your style, and your process. And here's myth number 5. Method actors are difficult. So the myth goes like this. Method actors are notoriously hard to collaborate with, hard to direct, because they're always in their own world or they're always in character. So here's the truth. There are some actors who have developed a reputation using the method, or whatever they call it, as an excuse for their bad behavior. But that has nothing to do with the method itself. Great actors who have used the principles of Stanislavski, or the branches that have come from Stanislavski's ideas, such as Al Pacino, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Sally Field, they were known not only for their great performances, but they also had reputations for being thoughtful, prepared, as well as deeply collaborative. The ideas proposed by Stanislavski and built upon by Lee Strasberg, Stella Adler, Sanford Meisner, Uta Hagen, and Susan Batson is about deepening your connection to the character. It is not in any way whatsoever about abandoning your professionalism. The method is a tool, not a religion. Like any craft, acting evolves constantly. Techniques should serve the actor, not overpower the actor. The best way to clear out all of these myths is to educate ourselves about these techniques. So in terms of what is referred to as method acting, there's a few wonderful books that I recommend you pick up and keep around on your bookshelf. A wonderful, well-researched, recent example is a book called The Method by Isaac Butler, a book that's been around a long time and something that I got in my early years when I first started studying acting. And this actually goes more into not so much the history of the technique, but the practical use of the different exercises that were developed by Lee Strasberg. A book called On Method Acting by Edward Dwight Easty. It's a great book and gives detailed practical exercises explaining effective memory and stuff like that, and I feel is a very pure representation of the work that Lee Strasberg was doing back in the 50s and 60s. And finally, a wonderful book called Method or Madness by Bobby Lewis. Method or Madness is a wonderful collection of lectures that he did, put into book form, and he was one of the great experts in the techniques and articulates it extremely well in this book. So the method is actually like branches from a tree. The different techniques that come from these branches are tools for us to explore, to see if they work for us, to see if they inspire us. It is not a life philosophy. So use the tools, use them, explore them, learn about them, and let's celebrate the art without glorifying the myth. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Click on the description below for links to our website as well as our free weekly newsletter. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.